Hello there, Commonwealth from here. After a more than eventful first anniversary of Tears of the Kingdom, let's realize how important the reveal of Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks coming out at the end of August is for the Zelda community, but also the game itself. And we will do that just after you leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell. Now then, the best way of describing this book is two words: new life. For what? Tears of the Kingdom and the Zelda community. Just like Breath of the Wild's Masterworks from December 2017, and especially its English counterpart from November 2018, Creating a Champion gave new life to a game that had turned the Zelda series upside down, introducing an entirely reimagined Hyrule with a history far later at any point than any Zelda game prior, with a ruined capital which we only saw brief glimpses of in the game and the DLC, both behind the town wall for a few brief seconds in flashback cutscenes. Well, guess what? Masterworks and Creating a Champion gave us 2 full pages of art detailing the central district and square. As a result, already in July 2018, we could with ease make a video on dungeons and towns for future Zelda games with said illustrations, using behind the scenes information, but also unused concept art for multiple characters and locations. And that is what is the point of these books, including Tears of the Kingdom Masterbooks, giving us a clear explanation as to Hyrule's ruins and territories and how the Zelda team used art to create this world. And this is the main point of these books, filling in the blanks with solid information and giving the fanbase the development team's reasoning behind key locations, characters, and even entire races. None of them are more important than the Zonai, a race that we only had vague information about, while Masterworks Creating a Champion gave us additional information, including art of Zonai pillars with actual dragon shapes, instead of Hylian-like columns like they ended up with in the game, plus explanation from the writers about the origin behind the Zonai, including definition of what was the source behind the name, a wordplay on Norzai or mystery in Japanese. These kind of insights that are never shared in interviews or smaller art books can only be delivered to the passionate Zelda fan for a 400+ pages book that gives a lot more. In fact, the teaser pages from Tears Masterworks posted by Nintendo have already revealed a few details, confirming that this sequel to Breath's Masterworks / Creating a Champion will in many ways follow the same structure. Up to 40 pages of official art tied to the promotion of the game, and in the case of Breath, DLC. That is right, this book is the final nail in the Tears DLC hopes coffin. It hurts, but it's time to move on, as the Zelda team have moved on, and this is their final gift unless we get Hyrule Warriors Imprisoning War in 60 FPS a few years from now on the Switch successor. Jokes aside, the real meat of this book is tied to the second chapter. Materials, or as it was titled in Breath's Masterworks, Making. 300+ pages with concept art of characters, detailing each race in, well, detail, and the same goes for the different enemies and overworld bosses. Well, who am I kidding? Also spiritual figures and wildlife, weaponry, armor and tools, concept art of divine beasts, including unused designs, and the same went for bosses and shrines, though these were not as important as the locations with key points of interest. And in the case of Breath, we got over 115 pages dedicated to these in that game's Masterworks. It is right here where we find above mentioned Hylian and Zonai examples, with the key for all Zelda theorists designer note in addition to regular description. Now we also have the brand new secret files, and combined, these are a goldmine and will give us years worth of theories and Zelda content. Like why the dungeon-like Zonai Dragon Gate entrance in the depths from the E3 2019 first teaser trailer was nowhere to be found in the final version of the game. Already now from the translated text of one of the pages, we have learned that the Zelda team at some stage were planning a dungeon for King Ra. Finally realizing the Temple of Light that was planned for a different Rauru in Ocarina, though in the end, both ended up cut out 25 years apart, and our first example of secret files. And we're still waiting for the Temple of Light's presence and title, since closing in on the 40th anniversary of the Zelda franchise, we've still not had a dungeon titled Light Temple or Temple of Light. That is the power of the art of characters and locations, and with brief descriptions of the locations, Rauru and Sonia's romantic life and key landmark moment, which would lead to them to become this Hyrule's first king and queen. Here we find a very solid example of the great value of this source of information, the background of characters and locations, aka lore, a and new mysteries which are literally fodder for new Zelda theories. There's just so much that is unexplained in Tears, specifically tied to the 2 new layers. Let me illustrate it with a few examples from the early game. Who are these frog-like people, which statue was the first we used the camera for in the game? Are they the new Zonai mystery of this game? A long-extinct civilization that the Zonai eventually colonized and possibly enslaved as seen from the mining set. And what's up with the bargainers, dark skeletons, cemeteries, colosseums and so much more down here? Seriously, what is the origin of the depths? Then you have the changes to the surface. One of them being, why is there an underwhelming cave inside Akkala's citadel rather than its militaristic interior? Why is the 8 heroine statue hiding part of Tingle's set, just to name a few? A really big one about what happened to all ancient Sheikah locations. This and far more leads up to the sky and also the merging of materials / making and the final section, history. Since the Zonai originated from the heavens, and their arrival to the surface sets in motion the story that we follow in this game. Their great power is the secret stones and Zonai technology. Did they build eventually their own kingdom on the ruins of a long-lost kingdom of Hyrule? And how many of the Sky Islands were already up before Zelda swallowed one of the secret stones? At the same time, the Making of Materials chapter will be different this time, as we're not covering just one surface, but Sky Islands and depths, and each of them will have dedicated sections, potentially even explaining the biological origins of the ancient hero and his connection to the zone. There are just so many unanswered questions, including Zelda's Triforce of Light and the other 3 dragons. Were Dinro, Naydra and Farosh leading Zonai who became immortal dragons after swallowing their secret stones? And will we finally get a proper timeline placement for these 2 games? I would love to say that we'll get an entirely new Zelda timeline, but at the same time, I think this will very much follow the section we got from Breath of the Wild, where in that case, Chapter 3 or the history section was around 50 pages, and I think we'll end up with a very similar structure with Tears of the Kingdom's masterworks. Though instead of vague distant past and then some more details on 10,000 years ago ancient, 100 years ago and present, we're likely to get a detailed distant past, including more on the Dragon Tribe's origins, followed by Raru's path to kingdom and his and Queen Sonia's shrines, up to Princess Zelda's arrival, including his tensions with Gerudo King Ganondorf and relation to the other tribes. All detailed in the history from the different races' perspectives that we know from Breath's masterwork / creating a champion. In other words, up to 10 pages on that, before going back to the events and factions. And this time the Demon Tribe will be far more involved, as the Zonai are already all but gone in Hyrule, and none of the technology was taken over by Demon King Ganondorf, as was the case with the ancient Sheik. Rather, with his stolen secret stone, he summoned his own army rather than hijacking the Hylian / Zonai, and used the numbers to overwhelm much of Hyrule. This section will be more personal and primitive, and that is what will make these pages so spectacular. Frontline of the imprisoning war, starting from the Great Plateau, and how many Hylians outside the Forgotten Temple survived to tell the tale, and then etch the geoglyphs from the Dragon Tears, the ruins that resulted from said conflict, and which of these ended up in the Sky Islands. Then followed by the story of transition after the defeat of Calamity Ganon, and the around 5 years of restoration Hyrule got before Ganondorf was in position to break free from Raru's Sea, and use the roots of the depths to zap energy to restore his former power. Much like the control unit on the Hyrule Castle of the Sheikah, which was first revealed in, you guessed it, Breath of the Wild's masterworks / creating a champion. Finally, ending with the events we know as we played through them in the game itself. And then a map, only this time 3 of them instead of 1. Ending our encyclopedia to this game with interviews from the leading members of the Zelda team, the closure to Tears of the Kingdom, and for which the Zelda team is starting their journey towards an unknown open-air future. But what are your expectations to the Black Tears of the Kingdom masterworks, a different name in English, based on what the white Breath of the Wild masterworks / creating a champion gave us for over half a decade? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell, and for all notifications, do not miss any future Tears of the Kingdom masterworks and other Zelda videos. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw producers Zach Johnson and JC Fung, and heroes Holly Wolf, Cheryl, and Garrett Hoy. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.